Back so soon, are we? Guys, I've just seen a channel put out a video in the last 24 hours and I felt that I had to do an update on something I put out. Anyway, they're called Desert Kites. I didn't know the name, but anyway, the name itself, Kites, seems to make you think about something that's blowing in the wind, in English anyway, which is interesting in itself. Now, these things are found all over the place in the Middle East and Africa and Sudan. And the reason why I felt like I needed to do an update is just in case some of you caught this and felt that maybe I might have got something wrong, because I was pointing out with the main one at least. The second video I made on it, I pointed out 3 sites which may have been tents, right? And I was showing how they definitely look like the imprints of tents, but it originated with the original one, which is actually part of his thumbnail. Okay, now that's the one that I want to address. You've got to keep in mind that just because something looks like it does now, that when they were first discovered 100 years or so ago, they didn't look anything like that, right? And a few pieces of rock or mud rock could easily have been transported there, especially by archaeologists, just to try and preserve these sites, right? Because in my mind, the original one that I pointed out is absolutely no doubt a tent. And I suppose it would depend on just how big this site is, which I don't even know, to be honest with you. The size would make a difference on whether or not it is the imprint of a tent. Now, I pointed out how it seemed to me like it had collapsed over to one side, which it would do. And it was the flaps. You could see how it had folded up as it collapsed on itself on one side. And that this thing seems to have like a passageway, a doorway, which you'd see as something like on Game of Thrones, something from the 1500s in Britain, in England I mean. And it would have a central post, and in the video itself it shows this post here. I don't know if they all did. Like I say, it would depend on the actual size of the site itself, but just because you get these circles here, if you did have tent posts of some kind, then you would have rocks around its base anyway, just to keep it in place, because it's in the desert, so you would get strong crosswinds. And like I say, with the other ones, I don't know what they are, but a lot of these sites get changed over time to preserve them. Yeah, like it's difficult to know just from looking at a top view, isn't it? But I'll leave the rest in your hands and you can make out what they are. I do know what they aren't though. Something that Michael Tellinger thinks they are, and that's that they're all like these frequency sites. Most of them are just the remnants of mud houses. But in the video it does actually show you how most of them at least were for guiding animals into, which makes sense. But again, you would have dwellings, you would still have your tent houses there or your mud houses within these sites anywhere.